Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And we have an awesome show for you guys today. And this was honestly like the 18th time we did the intro. We haven't done an intro in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
One of us was sick, had COVID, and is back. I'm back. Yeah, I had COVID. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm so glad you're back. I can't get into character.
I know, it's all right. You're good.
I'm so happy.
You're good. Yeah, so this AFC South video has been in the works for a while, and great part is had COVID out 2 weeks, and then I've had a vacation planned for 4 or 5 months now that I'm going on next week, so the schedule is going to be a little messed up again. So we're actually recording this on a Friday as opposed to a Tuesday. We'll put it out next week, and then I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do the next pod, but it will definitely come out. We'll figure that out along the way.
We'll chop up this video and just kind of space it out.
Yeah, for weeks, and we'll never
never hear from us again.
All right, guys. So we're going to talk about AFC South. We're continuing our schedule of just going through every single team. Let's get right into it. I think we have to start with the Colts, just because literally it came out today that Carson Wentz is having a foot issue, and I mean, this is an ongoing report that as we're recording this right now, we don't know all the information. The last report that I got off of my phone was that he doesn't want surgery, but that it's on the table. He's out indefinitely right now. We don't know what to expect with that. I'm going to tell you right now, like for some of my predictions and things like that, because we do our schedule, or record predictions and things like that. I have Carson Wentz playing the full season, so obviously we don't know how that's going to change. I know you adjusted some of yours ahead of time, so you were a little bit more proactive than I was. I just let it ride. We'll see what happens. So yeah, let's start with the Colts. Let's I'm gonna put a graphic up on the board while you're talking about your thoughts and everything there.
See, that's the thing. It's kind of weird how I guess it timed out so perfectly, because my thoughts have changed a lot going off of how Carson Wentz is and if he's able to play or not. So out indefinitely sounds a lot worse than I think the actual severity.
Yeah.
What it's sounding like is this is a minor foot thing. Now it could take some minor surgery. He's hoping to avoid that. The biggest thing is, does this linger? Does this totally... Do we get a different product or different version of a Carson Wentz that, for one, I don't think we knew what that was going to be in the first place from what it's been. I think every single year in Philadelphia, he has been a different version of himself, good at times, really, really bad at times, and MVP caliber at times. So to think that he may have to battle this foot injury and have that lingering, I think his ability at quarterback is what could really separate the Colts. Because other than that, the Colts still have a really good offensive line. They have some decent wide receiver weapons. I'm not going to sit here and say they're good. They're decent. I like the way that they have drafted. I haven't seen some of them really hit the way that I thought that they would, and I really like their defense. Their defense is built the right way. They have a tough, gritty secondary. They have a really good front seven. They've been trying drastically to address that defensive line for off seasons over and over again, and I really think they got it right with DeForest Buckner, and I really think that they've made the right moves. But Carson Wentz... maybe not even Wentz, the quarterback. The quarterback play has to be better. It has to get from good to elite if this team is going to be able to make that next step.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. It all does hinge on Carson Wentz and what to expect from his. I mean, we don't know what to expect at this point. So yeah, I absolutely agree. And beyond just the injury, as you said, like we didn't know what to expect before the Carson Wentz thing. I'm going to operate just under this as if he's going to play the season, and this is a preseason issue that will go away or will be dealt with.
That's what I'm thinking. It sounds like week one he might be good.
Yeah, so I'm going to operate under that assumption, and obviously things can change, but I can't. I think it's just the easiest way to have this conversation. So I do think that Carson Wentz is going to be a huge upgrade for this offense. I actually really do like their weapons. A wide receiver, Paris Campbell coming back is going to be a big one. I love Michael Pittman Jr. I thought he did have some sparks last year. I did like that they brought back T.Y. Hilton. So those three I think are a good trio. And then obviously they have a really good running back room led by Jonathan Taylor, obviously, but Nyheim Hines gets in there. They brought Marlon Mack back, so I mean you got pieces there, and you're right. Like this entire team is set up to be really, really good. I do think there's some interesting pieces here. The biggest one, we talked about that offensive line. Costanzo is gone. The surprise retire of Costanzo. I think everyone thought they were going to excuse me. I think everyone thought they were going to address it in in the draft. They didn't. So right after the draft, what do? They sign Eric Fisher, who did have that injury late in the season. So he don't think he's going to be back for week 1, but he'll be back. I still have questions about that. I think that's still going to be a little bit of an issue. If you look over the past 3 years, he is ranked out as the 41st, 33rd, and 31st ranked tackle in pass blocking over the last 3 seasons. So that's that's not special by any means, but it's a good placeholder, I guess, for the future. And it'll be interesting.
Definitely
to
took
see.
a hit though. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how this offensive line. It's certainly not the best offensive line in the NFL anymore.
No, I would give that to Cleveland right off the top of my head. But for what it was with Indianapolis, they have Braden Smith, who just got a huge payday over there at right tackle.
Yeah.
And Quentin Nelson speaks for itself.
Of course.
And then with Costanzo, it was surprising to see him go like he did. Eric Fisher it's not even close to a lateral move. It is. Mm-hmm. It's a downgrade.
Yeah, especially injured. But it can be.
But for what it is, he is a veteran. He definitely knows his way around the NFL, and
he could start.
Exactly.
I don't want to take anything away from him. I don't want
not
people to think
that
this is a fix.
But it's exactly that. It's not the permanent fix.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is interesting. We talk about they do have a great offensive line. If you watched last year, you might not realize that they were the 32nd most, the 32nd healthiest offensive line last year. I mean, they were the most injured offensive line in the NFL. We talked last time we did one of these with the 49ers being the most injured team. Well, this is specifically the most injured offensive line. So I kind of found that to be interesting, just a fun, interesting fact that I wanted to throw in there. But yeah, let's move on. Let's look at some of the stats here. I just want to pull that up, have everybody look at that, and I am struggling. I'm sorry, guys. There it is. All right. So we got some. I love throwing these stats out. Obviously they were a really good offensive team last year with Phillip Rivers. Yeah. So looking at what Carson Wentz can do in this offense, it stands to reason it should be better, right?
Yes. From where Phillip Rivers had regressed, just physical ability, age, getting old and stuff. Mm-hmm. Carson Wentz has no reason as to why he can't step in here and do better numbers, and these are good numbers too.
Yeah, no, these are borderline top 10, literally across the board, borderline top 10. I think he has every possibility to improve that, and then probably help that sack number too. They were the second most sacked team in the NFL last year.
It's also a problem for Wentz though, is extending the play and then making something that, honestly, it's like, just give me the sack.
Yeah. That's a great point, honestly. Yeah,
he struggled heavily in Philadelphia with looking at trying to extend the play and end up throwing some of the most bonehead interceptions I've ever seen.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's so interesting because if you look at Frank Reich, he's had a different starting quarterback every single year he has been with the Colts. Started with Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck retires, and then it's Brissett for a year, and then it's obviously it was Phillip last year, and now it's going to be Wentz. Hopefully, I mean, it's ridiculous how he has really had no stability at the quarterback position, and yet he's built a really, really good team that's going
year
11
in, year out,
wins.
That's not an excuse, you know, like that. They're still a really good 9, 10, 11 win football team. Making it to the playoffs is what the goal is. I mean, they were a few missed calls away because I know the refs were pretty upset about that game against, all the fans were against Buffalo and stuff. That was a close game in the playoffs, and then who knows what happens from there? Yeah,
man, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Let's keep moving right along here with the. I want to look at their draft right here. Mm-hmm. This was their draft. They went defensive line early and often, and they went. I think maybe people are going to disagree with this with Kwity Paye, but I still believe this. I think they're both all physical traits. I think it's I don't think you have a lot of production there year one. I think these are two guys in the first and second round that they got that are physically gifted players that you're still going to have to, mold into a complete player.
So I like it when good teams, they have the ability and I guess the opportunity to take and bet on those physical traits though, because if it's a team, I'm trying to think, like the Jets or the Jaguars, I guess, or the Texans, a team that's where you need instant like production, plug and play. You need them to be more than just the physical traits where they can pop off. No, Kwity Paye and Deo have the chance to be able to step in and give what they're able to give, have a high motor, have the high energy, and you still have other guys like DeForest Buckner. I know they lost to Justin Houston, but I'm pretty sure they brought on someone else. I can't think off the top of my head. They had another end. Nowhere like a Justin Houston. But, good teams like this with a good defense around them, they're not asked to do everything that they don't have to. Yeah. So that takes a huge weight off their shoulders.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. And last thing I do want to do, and by the way, we're not doing the fantasy this week. Honestly, just because I had COVID, I just too tired. I didn't do it. So
it's good. It can be a whole other video.
Yeah, we'll bring that out next week again. But I just didn't have the energy to do it, to be honest with you. So no fantasy talk. But last thing I want to talk about before we move on with this team is I want to look at their strength of schedule here. We're gonna put it on the board right now. You're looking at it. They have the hardest first 5 games of the year, first 5 games of the year, and the easiest final 6. And it is so crazy to look at the polar opposites there. Look at their start of their season. Seahawks, Rams, Titans, Dolphins, Baltimore Ravens.
That's bad.
That's brutal. That's brutal. And say what you want about the Dolphins and Titans.
Technically could be an 0-5. No, I mean, seriously, yeah.
Yeah, it very, very well could be, especially if Carson Wentz isn't there. And then you do have an easy start. So, like, their schedule as a whole is never going to be considered difficult. But that first 5 games, and I'm a big believer, like, the first month of the season can really do a lot and tell you how your entire season is going to go. Because you lose those first 5 games, you're demoralized. It's hard to get up for week 10 when it doesn't matter.
You lose the first 5, and I think, I don't know what it is, but statistically, it would be almost bare minimum that you make the playoffs at that rate. I remember my Vikings started 2-5, and then I saw something where it was only like 12 or 11% of teams start 2-5 end up finishing. Yeah. How can you?
Yeah.
I mean, you've already shot yourself in the foot on the first leg of the race. Like,
exactly.
How can you finish it?
Now, granted, all of those stats don't matter anymore because there's an extra game, and there's an extra spot.
Slate,
so pretty much all of those stats are going to have to reset. But yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, it's just brutal. I mean, I thought that was interesting. The schedule makers, I feel like, screwed over the Colts a little bit because they didn't give them a bye week until week 14.
Yeah.
And they do have kind of an easy run. Other than the Patriots, I mean, you get to play 3 relatively easy games to finish out the year, and that's calling Kyler Murray an easy game.
I was about to say, the Cardinals can mess around and.
Oh, for sure. And, obviously you get the Texans twice, but yeah, rough schedule in general. But I mean, God, those first 5 games, I just saw that. I had to put that up there. I thought that was really, really interesting. But yeah, all right. That's all I have on the Colts. Do you have anywhere else you want to go with that?
No, that's the thing is it all hinges upon Carson Wentz and his ability to get healthy, stay healthy. And I really hope that we can see, I don't hope it because I am kind of like a backdoor Titans fan being in the area and stuff, you know. But if there is a version of Carson Wentz that can be found, Frank Reich can find that again. He can find that MVP status. I guess it's almost like I have a really big thing with wanting to see the second chance again because I think people forget how truly good and electric so-and-so was before the fall. And Carson Wentz, in that season before he broke his leg, was truly electric. And not to mention it also kind of diminished the fact that Nick Foles was able to step in and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I think people forget his ability.
Yeah, it was
into that season. It was
special.
It would have gone down as one of the greatest seasons we've seen.
Yeah.
And I hope that Frank Reich can pull that back out of Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz has done everything the right way. Mm-hmm. All of it. Even with mentoring the guys under him, Jalen Hurts, all the other ones, So I want to see it for him.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. One last thing, because we didn't really touch on, I know we mentioned the running backs, but I did want to bring it up again. Jonathan Taylor going to take over the reins here, or are we expecting a Marlon Mack or Nyheim Hines to really cut into his fantasy production?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it, because me and you were on the minority last year, and we both felt like we were right until an injury with Marlon Mack derailed our entire argument. Jonathan Taylor is a talented running back. Me and you have said that from the start.
Never disagreed with that.
We have always said that he was one of my... I don't know if he was my number one.
He was your number one.
Yeah,
he was your number one.
I was about to say he was pretty close. super talented. But at the end of the day, the Colts are bringing back Marlon Mack for a reason. I believe that. No doubt. Nyheim Hines, at one point, was a huge fantasy asset. I mean, they were playing him not only just out of the backfield for some passes, they were using him. Yeah. Really using him.
For sure.
First 6 weeks of the year, Jonathan Taylor was very, very underutilized. I don't think it's smart if they continue to do it. I would feed Jonathan Taylor. But then again, hot hand, fresh legs goes a long way.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to keep doing that.
I think Jonathan Taylor's going to be the clear one, and I do think he will get the production. I don't know that it's going to be as maybe wild as some fantasy people are thinking. Like I don't think he's not getting 80% of the running back touches. You know what I mean?
60.
Yeah, so that's, I think it's going to cut in. He'll still probably be a 1,000-yard running back. He'll definitely be a 1,000-yard running back in 17 weeks for sure. He'll still probably be very, very fantasy relevant. Probably be an RB winner in the year. I don't know if he'll be a top 5. I'm curious about that. I have questions about that, but we'll see. I think he has the potential for sure. But just to see how the Colts go. If there's an issue with Carson Wentz, it might be all running for the Colts. So you never know. That's a very real possibility. Jacob Eason time.
They got Sam Ellinger too. Who knows?
Man, I'd love to see it. You know what? I'm not gonna laugh. I'd love to see it. I really would. Let's move on. Where do we want to go next? Let's see here.
Jacksonville. Go to Jacksonville.
Yeah, we're gonna go Jacksonville next here. I'll pull it up on the screen. Let's give me your raw thoughts with Jacksonville. Exciting.
There's a lot of buzz in Jacksonville right now. Trevor Lawrence, of course. I mean, we knew who Trevor Lawrence was before Elite 11 days for me. Like,
oh yeah, that's when I heard about him.
Yeah, when he was in high school, before he committed, we knew he was going to be in this spot. So it's incredibly hard. It goes, as a compliment to him for his poise, being able to handle that amount of pressure that has always been on him. And I think the level of expectation kind of lowers how impressed we are by him. We should still be as impressed as we are with any quarterback that we've seen that's come out, like a Andrew Luck, like a Peyton Manning, all of those names. I truly think Trevor Lawrence is going to be up there, talent-wise, ability, all of it. I just think that he has been great for so long and had so much expectation. At a certain point, it's just kind of like expected of you, not, oh my God, look at what he's doing, So with Jacksonville, though, they draft Travis Etienne as well. I really like what they got going. I just think that it's going to take some more time to get this thing going. Trevor might have, the guy never really had to lose much, ever.
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head how many games it was, but I can tell you this: he's probably going to triple it in this season versus his whole high school, college career.
Oh, yeah.
with the Jags when it comes down to it, overall losses. So I hope he's able to handle it, take the licks in stride, and use it to get better. And honestly, let's just see the team start to get going, because defense is pretty rough.
Yeah, the defense is rough, and the team isn't there all the way. But yeah, this is a team that it's all going to be hinged on Trevor Lawrence. I'm not really worried about that at all. I'm interested to see how good he is this year. I'm interested to see where he lines up with the rest of the NFL, not just the rookies, but just the NFL in general. Like,
yeah,
where will he be? Will he be top 10 after this year? That's kind of like my questions.
Yeah,
which is so unfair for a rookie quarterback. That's genuinely what I care about. But that's kind of where I'm at with him, and it's his reputation precedes him. So that is what it is. I think it's interesting to look at this team and look at the win total specifically. And we've kind of gotten away from talking about that just because honestly our projections are so close to the over-unders, where it just hasn't been as interesting as I think maybe we were hoping. Point. Yeah, but I have it up here now, and I want to talk about it now because it's 6.5. Wow, that's a lot for a team that won one game last year.
It really is.
Is that overinflated? Obviously, we have Urban Meyer. Obviously, there's Trevor Lawrence. There's a great draft class, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But I mean, this team was still terrible last year. I mean, this team was. You can see the stats on the board right now. Every aspect of this team was bad, and obviously, we think they got better in the offseason. But 5 wins, 6 wins, better.
So I think Vegas is also playing into the fact that they knew this was a Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. Not saying that they were out there throwing games, but it definitely felt like a lame duck season, if you will. And with Trevor Lawrence, I mean, I think it speaks for itself that I would take the under. But the same thing with Joe Burrow and the Bengals, they rebounded very well.
Yeah.
For what it was until he got hurt. But even still, I think they were able to salvage something of like four
4 or 5 wins. Yeah.
Jacksonville with a healthy Trevor, you never know. You get to beat up on the Texans twice, so hopefully get some wins under your belt. Their offensive weapons, I do not doubt one bit. They've built up the offensive line to a point where, no, I'm not going to sit here and write home about it by any means, but they have pieces, they have guys that they have brought back and re-signed on that offensive line for a reason. Cam Robinson is one off the top of my head. He's borderline elite level. And the wide receiver weapons are exciting for me.
Yeah.
I really want to see LaVisca step up and step out this next year, second year. DJ Shark is hoping to get his name up there with all of the other elite wide receivers in the NFL, because I know you've liked him for a long time, and I said that he's been there. Yeah. But I think a lot of people is still kind of quiet on him.
Yeah, as a whole. He took a step back in every major category last year, so I get it. But also, it was the Jaguars. I mean, everybody took us. Jaguars weren't good, so I don't really
blame him.
Exactly,
he was on the 31st overall passing attack.
Yeah,
it's hard to be elite.
Yeah, so I don't blame him too much there, but overall, I think this is a team. I absolutely agree with you. I really do. I think a lot of their weapons are really good. You bring in, did you mention Travis Etienne
Travis Etienne.
Exactly. So that offense, it does look like it can be good. This is the most expensive offensive line in the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. It's not that good. It's more expensive
Shows that they've addressed it, I guess. But
well, yeah, they're bringing back everybody from last year.
Yeah.
But they're bringing back the 64th and 66th ranked offensive tackles too.
That's bad.
Cam Robinson and Jawan Taylor. That's out of 66.
They got to be better than that.
That's what they're ranked. Listen. The rankings are what they are. The rankings are what they are. I pull them. They're not my numbers, but it puts them in a ballpark. It's
hard to refute it.
It puts them in a ballpark. All right. So if they're not actually the 64th and 66th best or worse, whatever, fine. But it puts them in a category. It kind of lets you gauge that. Yeah. So call it what it is. You're right. I'm not gonna sit here and defend rankings like that all day. But that's where they're at on this numbers. It is crazy that you look at the Browns, who I would argue undisputed best offensive line in the NFL right now. They spend the second most on their offensive line, beaten out only by the Jaguars.
But the Browns get the accolades to go alongside of that. Yeah.
The Browns have the 25th run block last year, the 25th ranked run and 19th ranked pass blocking. The Jags, excuse me. Yeah. So that tells you okay,
and
you're
the Browns
paying,
have the first.
Exactly. So that kind of tells you the difference. I did think this was really, really interesting, and I wanted to bring it up. And this is kind of a wordy stat, so give me a second here. There are 3 teams that have started with a new coach and a number 1 quarterback since 2010. All right, so the 2019 Cardinals with Kingsbury and Murray, they went 5-10-1. The 2012 Colts with their coach Chuck Pagano. Chuck Pagano. God, I can't talk. Pagano and Luck went 11-5. That was awesome. And then the Panthers with Rivera and Newton, they went 6-10. So 6.5 wins in a 17-game season, it actually it's right on point with obviously the Colts were the outlier, but the Cards and the Panthers showed that that's kind of on point. And honestly, you look at all 3 of those scenarios, I would say they all kind of worked out to varying levels of success so far. Obviously, we're going to see how the Cards go, but I mean, Rivera and Newton went to a Super Bowl. Pagano and Luck, there were some injuries.
The window was open until Luck stepped.
Yeah, exactly. So there were some issues there, but at the end of the day, there's some real good precedent for this being a very, very good team moving forward for a long time with this marriage. So we'll see how that goes. I thought that was interesting. Anywhere else you want to go before we look at their draft?
They overpaid Shaq Griffin.
Yes.
I wanted to say that. I just wanted to point that out. Shaq Griffin is... I'm trying to think of the right words because I don't want to sit here and just, I guess decimate the guy.
Yeah.
It was something that the Jaguars needed to address. They have C.J. Henderson, who I think is a hit so far. I know some people would argue that he kind of fell off towards the end of the year. I think mainly that was just because it was a bad team overall, and he was constantly having to line up against the ones over and over and over. And I think for what it was, he probably earned some stripes on his belt, I think.
I think he earned some stripes. He did struggle.
He did. He had some highlights early on in the year, but I think it was after week 6 it started to get a little bad.
Yeah.
But they addressed it, and they brought in a Shaq Griffin. I love their draft class. So, that's why I want to put the bad away with the Shaq Griffin signing. I felt like they could have addressed it in other areas. William Jackson would have been... If you're going to pay that money... go get a guy who's a budding superstar, not a guy who is a serviceable starting cornerback in the NFL. That's what I feel of Shaq Griffin compared to William Jackson.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Shaq Griffin was the 54th ranked cornerback last year, according to PFF. So like he wasn't special. And again, we're putting him in a box, but like that's the box he was in. He was an average cornerback 2. That's what he was. The Seahawks were not upset. Seahawks fans specifically were not upset seeing him go because they acted like he was cornerback 1 and he never was.
They wanted him there, but not for the money that he was asking.
God, no. He was never worth that. So yeah, I that's one of those things where it's like, fan bases get excited for their new, for a new free agent signing and don't really realize where he actually is in the pantheon of the NFL. I think this is one of those where like Jags fans are going to realize pretty quick that like Griffin ain't shit really. Like he's okay. He's not terrible.
He's good.
But yeah.
Good as in depending on where he's at on the field and in that role. But if you're sitting there going, wow, they addressed cornerback 1.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
The case
I still think it needs to be C.J. Henderson and then let Shaq Griffin do the 2s. Yeah. But we'll see how it plays out.
We'll see. I also forgot they brought in Marvin Jones. Just looking at this stat again, they brought in Marvin Jones, brought in Jamal Agnew. Yeah. They brought in a lot of pieces in free agency. I didn't realize all the guys they brought in. They spent
a lot of money. They did. Yeah. They just kind of avoided some of those top tier names.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But let's go to free agency here because I think that the
draft.
Let's go to the draft. So we touched on free agency. Let's go to the draft because man, I get the first pick, awesome. Second pick, listen, I'm always gonna have questions about going running back first round. You have a lot of picks like this. I think makes teams want to do it. They want to get that that firecracker a little bit. The guy that they're like pretty fucking confident is going to be a superstar and get him in the first and make your fan base happy. I get it, whatever. And Travis Etienne's going to be awesome, so I have no issue with that. But where I think they really killed it was the second and third round, and honestly fourth. I mean, I'm starting with Tyson Campbell, who like you and I, for sure. I thought he should have been a first rounder. I thought he was better than some of the guys that got drafted at him. I thought he was definitely better than his teammate that went to the Packers. Eric Stokes, exactly. He's the better corner between him and Eric Stokes. Like it's not even close in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I was shocked by that. Walker Little, you got an offensive lineman out of Stanford who I think he would have been a first rounder if it weren't for the amount of games he played. He's played like 2 games in 2019, but he's one of those guys that he's an Adonis when it comes to the offensive line. Like he looks like a superstar, and he was bred
Stanford
to be a superstar.
Stanford is known for putting out amazing offensive line talent.
Andre Cisco, loved him as a safety out of Syracuse, thought he was a great player, nothing to say there. And then Jay Tufele, one of my favorite defensive tackles in this class, big, ugly in the middle, added a big piece in the middle. Yeah, I think they absolutely killed it. From the second to fourth round, they absolutely murdered this draft, in my opinion. I don't see how they could have done it any better. And then obviously, the crown jewel, we know who that is. But their entire draft was just absolutely hit after hit after hit. And go back and look at my draft review if you want to see like a more in-depth take on that draft. But man, I think they absolutely murdered it.
I do too. They addressed every single need, and they also got guys who I didn't even think would be available.
Yeah.
And instead of wondering why they're falling, they take them as they should.
Yeah.
I agree with you on the Travis Etienne pick. Etienne is a phenomenal talent.
Mm-hmm.
He fits right in. I can't help but feel like maybe they wanted to pair off a Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. I know that usually isn't a narrative that happens, but this past year in the draft, there was a lot of former teammates being reunited. It's different. I know, because you wanted to say it. It usually doesn't happen for that. It doesn't, because how often do you let your rookie quarterback make it any kind of overall decision for what it is?
Yeah.
But, we saw Jamar Chase reunite with Burrow. We saw Etienne with Lawrence, and there was a few more too. I can't even think of them.
We saw the Alabama boys. We saw Tua with the speedster. We saw
Devontae
with Hurts. Yeah.
So there was definitely a narrative to be spun for that. I just don't see how fast Jacksonville can get going, because the way that the running back position is viewed overall, like third or fourth year. So in 3 to 4 years when it's time to pay Etienne, and I know it's hard to look that far out in the future though, but where is Jacksonville overall on competitiveness?
Yeah.
Are you going to have the luxury to be able to spend that big time money on that running back, assuming that he hits, because you
already got to pay somebody else.
Exactly. you got to pay someone else who, let's just say things go like they do. That it's hard. It's hard to do that whenever you are a bad team, to get a good running back who might have to use most of his shelf life to get good. Then you got to pay him, and hopefully he stays good. It's hard.
That's the sad part for me because
Yeah,
I don't even like you take away everything else and just look at he has a shelf life of 5 years at best 5 years. That fifth year comes around and it just falls off the cliff. It seems it's so. I mean, I would say
that they can go farther than that, but that's if they are That's what generational steps into.
But on average, it's about 5 years.
Exactly.
Right? You get 5 great years with a great running back, and if it takes 3 years to get good, you got 2 years of shelf life of being really good. And that's it.
And then you're having to ask yourself, do we pay the guy?
Yeah, and you're not going to. And it does suck for the running back. You look at it from like, okay, that's his rookie contract is basically 5 years with the 5th year option. He barely ever gets paid, and he just ran out all of the tread on his tires on a bad team. That would be unfortunate. You hope it doesn't work out like that. Hopefully he's treated more like a Le'Veon Bell type who gets used a lot in the passing game and maybe doesn't get overworked between the tackles, and you know, maybe something like that can happen. I don't know. We'll see.
That's what I would do. And Urban Meyer is a genius of a coach. Mm-hmm. I would line up Travis Etienne all over the place. I would do split running back sets because you still have a Jim and a James Robinson that you were able to find, undrafted free agent. Mm-hmm. And I would let him take a lot of the between the tackles, those 3 yard just ground and pound. Etienne, of course, can do that. Yeah. But, let Etienne be the electricity of that offense. Let him be that Le'Veon Bell role. I think he can.
I absolutely agree. Do you worry about, I think this is kind of the last place we'll go before we move on. Do you worry about the college coach going to the NFL? Do you have any issues with that? What are your thoughts there?
It's I mean, I know it's got to be a different atmosphere. Urban Meyer in the past has never really been one of my favorite coaches anyways. Mm-hmm. A lot of that stems from how he handles himself off the field, though, with all the issues about when the going gets tough, that dude just gets going, and he'll go to another spot, and he'll say he has a medical condition. That's just what got him away from Florida. Yeah. Then he left Ohio State because of all of those issues, heart problems, health wasn't intact, and now he's back. So I can't sit here and say off the top of my head when it comes to college success going to the pros. I know Saban failed.
I do have a stat for that, actually.
When you do?
Yeah, I have a stat here. If you look at the last 7 coaches that have made the jump from college to pros, they've improved their team's win total by an average of nearly 4 wins. 3 have made the playoffs. So
there's success rooted in
that. Yeah, so there is, that's only a 1 year, sample size of improvement. That doesn't really look at long term, but yeah, it does show that like that first year there's actually 4 wins is a lot in the NFL, so like that's a pretty good improvement. Now, granted, you look at like I don't know. I think you can break that up.
Now that I think about it, it kind of just depends on which coach, because it's that's the thing is I almost would say that there's no correlation there. Then you look at a Chip Kelly, he struggled a lot. There was like one good season,
but that first season was good.
Exactly. You look at a Pete Carroll. Look at what Pete's built. Yeah. So Cliff's still taking a good crack at it right now. There's been a lot of names come up, go down. I know Urban is a good X's and O's coach. I know he is a good players coach from a lot of the stuff that they've said in college. It's a different beast in the NFL, though. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. I'm excited. I do think it'll be interesting. It is also interesting that the Jaguars do have the 4th easiest schedule when you break it down by forecasted win totals. 4th easiest schedule in the NFL. So that's worth noting there, right there.
With a formidable start, I think that there's a world where they can.
That's a good start. I feel it is. That's an easy start. I mean, you get to play.
I'm so excited for Thursday Night Football. By the way, the Bengals.
Is that the first game?
No, it's. I think it's right there, week 4.
Oh, okay.
Thursday night, but you get to see Burrow versus Trevor.
Burrow versus Trevor. That's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be a good game to watch.
Did we see that in college?
Yeah. Burrow they beat the hell out of him.
Burrow beat Trevor. Yeah, that was in the championship, right?
Big time.
Yeah,
it was a big time.
So that'll be a rematch of the championship. That'll be fun. Yeah, you're right.
It's a cool story.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. You're absolutely right. I like that. Anywhere else you want to go with this? Anywhere else you want to talk with the Jaguars at all?
No, I think fans. And I say this to the fans because they already know patience. I mean, they're Jacksonville fans. They've had patience for a long
Jags
time.
Fans are so good.
They really are. They're so loyal. Yeah. Date a Jags fan. That's all I gotta say. Date a Jags fan. They will stick with you even when they probably shouldn't. That's how it goes. But right now, I feel like the Jags fans are so close, though. They're saying, we got Trevor. Like, I want to reap the rewards now. It might take just a season or 2.
Yeah.
I hope we see the flash, because that's the problem, is we're so quick to throw away quarterbacks if we don't see it first year. It used to not be like that, so just patience.
It won't be with him. He has 3 years. I guarantee you.
Oh, no matter what Trevor does, he's got the entirety of his contract.
He could go out there and actually lay a shit on the field, and he's still got 2 more years. Okay,
speaking of shit, then there is one thing, and it comes from Gardner Minshew.
I was gonna say where he goes.
It's hard, yeah. No. Speaking of shit, it could go anywhere. It's Gardner Minshew with quote of my life, honestly, in the competition with him and Trevor. He said, and I quote, "I haven't taken a shit in 2 weeks. There's no number 2 in this house." And I think I love the guy. I love Gardner Minshew so much. It's a shame to think that his personality and his ability too. He's not the best, but he can go out there. I want him to start, bro. Not over Trevor, but I want him to play somewhere, because that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Trade him to the Colts. Fuck it. Frank Reich will make you awesome. I
just want him to have fun. That's all I want.
I just want him to have fun. I love it. All right, let's move on. We're gonna move on to the Texans here. This will be an interesting conversation. Shut up.
It's gonna be a bad one. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think so. All right. So, yeah, just give me your thoughts on the Texans.
Evaluate quarterbacks in college now. So that's one thing, is how are you going to take the Texans before we go forward? Are we going to take it as in the Deshaun Watson saga? He plays. He doesn't play. I'm assuming that his days in Houston are done. I am going to say that I think that he will continue to play football. So I'm going to take it off of that. Let's go with that. But, it's a different world. Depending on how they're going to do that success with Deshaun. Deshaun plays, I think they're a 5-6 win team. I think they might be able to get more. Deshaun factor alone, but without Deshaun, it is going to be abysmal this year.
Let's start there. Okay, so I created this graphic literally before I got COVID 2-3 weeks ago, and I put it out on Twitter. This is how good Watson was before, last year. And you look at total yards, first in the NFL. Completions percentage, third in the NFL. Total air yards, third in the NFL. Air yards per attempt, first in the NFL. Deep ball completion percentage, second in the NFL. True passer rating, third in the NFL. It factors out throwaways and drop passes. Interceptable passes, ninth. That's so
he did that while having
impressive.
To dodge so many sacks too.
He did that despite the protection rate of a 28th in the NFL protection rate, a drop rate of 4th in the NFL. His wide receivers dropped the 4th most passes in the NFL.
Most expensive wide receiver room too.
And the worst rushing team in the NFL. One of the most expensive running rooms in the NFL. This was an absolutely abysmal football team. Defensively, offensively, everything. And Watson was still able to create just absolutely incredible stats. That shows you, like, okay, yes, it didn't amount to wins, but it did amount to 10 one-score games. Yeah, he didn't. So he put his team in position so many times last year, and they let him down so many times. They wasted one of his great years. J.J. Watt told him as they walked out of the field in the last game, they wasted one of his prime years.
Yeah, JJ was apologizing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's sad. I say all that to say, the Texans did not get better. I don't think, not in any significant way this offseason. We're going to talk about all that. I don't see the Texans winning more than one or two games without Deshaun Watson. And no, I don't see him ever playing for the Texans again. I'm praying he gets traded to the Dolphins. I still am. I'm holding out hope. And I know there's off the field issues. I know there's a lot of things. I was watching the Pat McAfee show the other day, and I can't remember who was on, but an NFL insider, he was talking about how he knows for a fact there are 3 or 4 teams, and it's kind of some of the, he said it's the same teams that they were talking about, at the beginning of the offseason before all this other news came out. Says they're all still interested. I know for a fact the Dolphins were part of those teams. I'm not saying they're in the leader house. I'm not saying they're definitely going to go get them. I just know that I'm a Dolphins fan, so I'm hopeful. I think there's absolutely no way that the Texans don't end up trading him. He wants out. He's showing up to camp right now because when you're in a legal battle, you can't really afford to miss work.
That's kind of what you do,
yeah. So he's going to show up. He's going to be a good soldier, but he has said, I think publicly, I know privately, privately, but I think publicly that he still emphatically wants out and he wants to move on. And why wouldn't he? This team is a dumpster fire from a ownership standpoint. And I'm sorry, Texans fans. Like, I'm not trying to shit on your team. The ownership needs to make some changes, and I think everyone would agree with that. I would hope so. We'll move on there. I just think that's such an interesting stat to juxtapose how good Deshaun really was to how so bad the Texans were last year. It's ridiculous how bad they were last year. The fact that they won 4 games is amazing, and it's all because of Deshaun Watson. And I don't see them winning any more than that without Deshaun Watson.
No, and that's why I think that it's ultimately going to lead to them getting the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
And that's why I said evaluate your college quarterbacks well, because, you have the guy out of North Carolina, Sam Howell, Spencer Rattler, who knows, there's Riddler at Cincinnati. There's a lot of different names. Regardless, Texans fans, pick one. I hope you like it whenever that time comes, because I'm assuming Deshaun's days are done, and
I get a lot of first-round picks out of him.
I always, and hopefully that's the thing. I want to be able to spin the positive on this season. Right now, I don't see it though. Right now, I see the bad season that could get you the good pick. You still got to hit the pick. Get rid of Deshaun.
Right now, you're getting 3 firsts plus.
I hope.
So it's a guarantee. Yeah, you're getting 3 firsts plus. You could get it from the Dolphins right now. You could get it from the Eagles right now. You couldn't get it from you couldn't get it for Denver, but you could definitely get it from the Dolphins. Well, you might not be able to get it from the Eagles because the Colts might not be giving them a first anymore.
Yeah, just depends on how that one shakes up.
Yeah, it depends on how many games that Carson Wentz plays. You could definitely get it for the Dolphins right now. So I know there are teams that still have 3 firsts available over the next 2 years. Yeah, you're gonna have to go get those picks, and you're gonna have to hope that you hit with them. I mean, that's
what you got to do.
Say.
I just it just depends on what coaching staff gets in there right now. I'm not super big on David Culley.
No, I think he's a placeholder.
See, and that's the thing. Having a placeholder, it's hard for me to get behind the positive side of this whole year, other than looking at stuff that hasn't happened yet. The Deshaun trade, the future haul that you're going to get. I don't know. If there's a world where they can salvage this Deshaun relationship, the problem is they don't have the money to get the people that could start to sway him over there. They don't have the infrastructure to even want to do that. And it is such... with the way everything's done, exactly. With the way that everything has happened and transpired, there's just no way.
Yeah. I think
bridges are burned.
This was a year where you were never going to get a top coach because you were going to be putting a top coach into a lame duck situation. This is a year where you just have to hope that you play you play your cards right. You hopefully maybe create a good nucleus for a football team moving forward, at least make you believe in something. And if that doesn't happen, move on from David Culley, which I do think will ultimately end up happening, and call this a wash year and start over next year with a new quarterback, and maybe don't even draft a quarterback this year. Maybe build out a
give the guy a home to go to first. Yeah, before
build your home before you put in the
because you hit with Deshaun. But what happened? It was him alone, which now has caused him not only just that. There's been a lot of other things. But whoever it is steps into the same shoes Deshaun had.
Yeah,
very big shoes to fill. No one else to help you, and you can only hope to do just as much with nothing around you. Yeah. No, it might be a good idea to maybe pass on that.
Yeah.
Maybe try to trade down. Maybe get some more assets. I don't know.
So let's take a step back, because I feel like we're talking all future and we haven't really talked about what they did this offseason.
Yeah.
So let's take a step back here. They did bring in Nick Caserio as GM. They brought in David Culley as the head coach, the former Ravens passing game coordinator. If you would have asked me to pick the last passing game coordinator that I would think would get a job, it'd probably be the Ravens. Because you look at the Ravens, they were probably one of the worst passing teams last year. I can't think of a team that was just had a worse scheme and all the above for their passing game specifically. Very, very simple. I just think that's so funny. I mean, it's just crazy to me that happened. But David Culley was willing to take the job, so they gave it to him. Their free agency, and I want to bring this up because they brought in a lot of guys. They did.
Nobody pops, though.
Nobody pops. Look at this list, man. I mean, it's just crazy to me, the amount of names they brought in and the amount of nobodies they brought in.
I would say Shaq Lawson, Malik Collins, and Marcus Cannon are names that I say the above-average football fan would know. Kirksey as well. Mark Ingram, of course. But what is the running back going to do for you right now?
Yeah, nothing.
No, nothing at all. Yeah, Tyrod starts day one.
Tyrod probably does start day one. By the way, this is an old graphic. Duke Johnson is still there, so that was not a loss there. That's an old graphic that needs to be corrected. So I do apologize there. But yeah. Other than that, I mean, it's just they brought in, and there's a longer list here. Those are just some of the main names that were worth bringing up. But yeah, just a bunch of. I feel like nobody that moves
Randall
the needle.
Cobb lost to that too.
Oh yeah, Randall Cobb got traded, but I mean, nobody moves the needle. I don't feel like got traded for a 6th. Honestly, they saved the Packers did them a favor by taking on the contract because that contract.
The Packers doing Aaron Rodgers a favor too, though. Yeah,
true, but the Texans were paying Cobb way too much. I can't remember what that contract is, but I know they're still paying him $3 million of the contract after the trade.
It was like $8.5 million.
Yeah, it was $8.5 million.
It was a lot of money
for Randall Cobb. At this point in his career, and granted, he's a good slot receiver, but come on, man. They got Aaron Rodgers, got his buddy back though.
For his sake.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on because listen, this is a weird hill to die on, and I get this, but this is where we're gonna go with this because I just find this so interesting, and because I'm gonna bring up one of their draft picks. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a lot of picks, right? I'm gonna give you their entire list right here. Their first pick was David Mills, obviously in the 3rd round. I believe they actually wanted your guy.
They wanted Kellen Mond.
And the Vikings took him, so they had to draft Davis Mills. Their next pick is Nico Collins in the 3rd round. I know what you're thinking. Oh, did they have 2 3rd rounders? No, they didn't. They didn't have 2 3rd rounders at all. This was the trade they made to go get Nico Collins. This is on the board right now. They traded a 4th, a 5th, and a 2022 4th to go get Nico Collins. That is
in a time when you need picks.
When you need picks specifically, yes. That is the most. What is the right word? Asinine, fucking egotistical to think that you're so fucking smart. And by the way, I like Nico Collins. I actually think Nico Collins is awesome. I really do. I think he has a chance to be a big part of this offense because obviously with the Randall Cobb trade
there's holes there.
Yeah, it makes sense, and they obviously really liked him. Not taking anything. There's nothing to do with Nico Collins, but to trade 3 pieces on a team that is the worst in the NFL for a fucking luxury pick wide receiver, fucking asinine.
It's weird, yeah.
Fucking asinine, and it just shows like you don't understand the situation you're in. You're not one piece away. That's okay if you're the fucking, if you're the Titans and you want to go trade for a wide receiver. You're a team that has a bunch of pieces and you feel like you're a wide receiver away. Go get it. And this is drafts. I'm talking draft. But now I know they got Julio Jones. Maybe that was a bad example.
You're saying right? When you were this bad, when you were this devoid of talent, you need picks. You need a plethora of picks. You don't need just the normal draft. And you're already going into this draft lacking the 1st and the 2nd. Yeah. And who knows what you've been lacking in years prior to this. I'm pretty sure they haven't had their first 2 years in a row.
Yeah, the Dolphins had 2 years in a row.
Yeah, so you're already hurting. The last thing that I think you can do is trade multiple picks away for a wideout. I like Nico Collins a lot too. I think for deep sleeper fantasy, it's a guy who could pop solely because of the role that he gets to step in. I love his big body. He's a good physical receiver. He is. But trading away the picks jeopardizes what you could be bringing in when you need so many other pieces. You really do. So
it's just
it was different.
A huge misstep in my opinion from Caserio, and just another one. And I feel like consistently misunderstanding your assets, and by every definition of that term, assets.
By assets means hold on to them.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, so I'm glad you agree with that. I know that's a weird hill to die on.
I like Brevin Jordan.
I love Brevin Jordan. I thought that was their best pick. I mean, they got him in the 5th round. That's a baller in the 5th round, man. He's a great player. I think he's kind of weird because I think it's 37% of his receptions were screen passes in college. Yeah, which is a little weird. Didn't have a ton of route running or anything. I know not dynamic route runners.
He's fast, right?
Yeah, he is fast. He's a big physical guy. Yeah, he's a fast physical receiver, and he is. I mean, he's cut. I mean, he's a good player. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I don't know. That's not a takeaway by any means. I just thought it was interesting the way they utilized him in college.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was something I had to bring up. It's not something we usually bring up, trades in the mid round, but for a team like that, I thought it was interesting.
Think you can afford that.
Yeah, it was certainly worth mentioning. And then I have to throw this up here too. The luck gets worse for them because they do statistically have the second hardest schedule in the NFL based on win percentage, and this doesn't account for like, they don't have the worst schedule because they have a bad team. That's not how it works. It's every team's, that's the teams that they're playing, what their projected win total is. It has nothing to do with the Texans. So, yeah, that's crazy to me that they ended up with the second hardest schedule in the NFL.
Man, I was going through it just now off the top of my head, giving them the benefit of having Deshaun.
Yeah.
4 or 5, maybe. I think they beat Jacksonville, toss up with Carolina, beat the Jets, toss up with the Jags. That was 3.
It's 3. Yeah, and I could give them one against the Dolphins or something like that. That's with Deshaun.
They have to play Cleveland, Buffalo, New England, Indianapolis, the Rams, Dolphins, Titans. I mean, it's Seahawks, brutal. Chargers, 49ers. Fuck.
Fuck.
That's bad. That is a bad schedule.
I want that to be my ringtone. Fuck.
It's bad. It really is bad. And I guess, I don't know if they're really wanting to be competitive this year, all in all, though.
Yeah,
if I was a Texans fan, I would. Oh, the team. All those players, all of those guys, teams and players do not throw because they can't sit there in contract negotiation time and be like, "Well, I was told to lose, though."
That's not how it works.
No, you're not going to get money doing that. No.
This is
a fan.
It's interesting because we've stepped away a little bit from talking about the over-unders and stuff like that because we thought we were going to find a lot more juicy ones than I think we did. This is one of the better ones that we found
this one.
because we're both significantly under what Vegas has. I have them at 1-16. You have them at 2-15, and I don't think we're being hyperbolic. I really don't. And granted, we're assuming Deshaun Watson doesn't play, but I mean
that's what it is. It's got to be.
But 4.5 wins. I'm taking the under. I don't see them winning 5 games.
Deshaun's not playing.
How do they win? I don't see them winning 5 games.
Even if Deshaun played, I mean, tell me they're 5.
Yeah, I don't see 5.
I promise you, if you can try to sit there and say 5, there's one of them where you're looking at me going, oh, come on now, there's always that one time. I'm not listening to that crap. That means that it's under. Yeah. That's the whole point. I'm betting on this one.
Yeah, I'm betting on the under here in the season. Yeah, I think this is the best one that we found so far as betting the over-under. It's tough. It's a tough thing to do. It's tough to wrap your money up for, an entire football season, but yeah, this is one I absolutely agree. I'm going to bet on that one as well. Anywhere else you want to go with this? I don't think I have anything else.
No, it's going to be a bad year overall. Maybe they can see some of these young pieces really step up, and maybe they could have someone that they can know. Maybe they find the right character. Maybe they find the right drive. Maybe it just clicks, and they're like, okay, we want this going forward. Because whatever it is, I think you're right with a placeholder coach.
Yeah.
They're going to have to show up and show out, and hopefully they can have that place because that's the thing is that the rebuild isn't even started.
Oh.
The rebuild starts the day that Deshaun gets traded, and then when you finally get to see those picks in your head.
No, I absolutely agree. The rebuild starts the second Deshaun gets traded. I think that's the best way to close it out there. Let's move on. We're going to move on to the Tennessee Titans, the home team. Saved them for last, so hopefully our friends are still listening. So
there we go.
There we go.
We'll clip it out. We'll tell them, be like, listen, we know this is all y'all care about. So here you go.
All right. So off season at a glance. Well, I'll throw that up there while you talk about your thoughts on the Tennessee Titans.
Offensively, I know the biggest thing that everyone wants to talk about is Julio Jones, and trust me, we will talk about that. I think the offense is still going to be the same kind of vibe going, though. I know that's what it's going to be. It's Derrick Henry's show, Ryan Tannehill. This is a very good offensive line. They desperately need to address that tackle spot, and I hope that whoever they got to plug and play there ends up working out because it's been a few seasons back-to-back where they have been missing on that. But overall, this team is primed and ready to go. Their defense got better on the front 7. Their secondary is hurting. I still like a Kevin Byard. I've heard Janoris Jenkins has been doing formidable in camp. Not great. It's also hard to do great when you're having to face A.J. Brown and Julio Jones every damn snap.
Yeah.
But iron sharpens iron kind of thing.
Yeah.
And let's see Farley be healthy. I hope he can take the slow approach and reach that potential because right now I don't think the first few weeks of the season is going to be that big of a deal for the Titans anyways when it comes to having Caleb Farley starting. You need the good version of him so confidence doesn't get hit. Christian Fulton, though, has a very, very big role to fill this year in a way that he was injured, and so that was kind of the reason I heard behind his, I guess, it wasn't bad play, but why he wasn't, growing into that second round pick status and what could have been first round pick as a corner, was the injuries. He had a lingering foot injury that just kept nagging him over and over. Hopefully that's all put to bed. The Titans' defense, though, is what's going to hold this team back. I will counter that by saying that their offense is good enough to overpower that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, and I said it before. I said it in an interview, and I got. It's a weird thing to say. I think the offense is good enough to do what the Chiefs is able to do with their defense. Chiefs defense. Now the Chiefs defense has some superstars now in a Honey Badger and D4. All
you're
those
talking about first year Mahomes that were bad.
Yes, with having an offense that is so good that they can hopefully just rely on some big plays on defense. Titans offense, yes, I think the Titans offense is great.
The Titans offense is great, but that's not what the Titans offense is. The Titans offense is grounded down.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying solely on the thought that the offense can beat a team, though, before the...
Well, yeah, no, I definitely think the Titans offense... Yeah. I just... Because you look at what the Chiefs were able to do is the Chiefs could score it from any moment on the field at any time. That's not really what the Titans are, is it?
The Titans are capable.
You think they are that?
With having a Julio who's a top 5 and A.J. Brown who's a top 15, those weapons speak for itself. And then you have a top 2 running back in a Derrick Henry. And I only say 2 just because McCaffrey's out there.
Yeah, no, okay. I get what you're saying. I disagree.
Having those weapons, I just think that the offense... Okay, so maybe I don't believe that they can do that as much. They need to do that. They have to do that.
Okay,
if a legitimate Super Bowl window is possible, because I don't think the Titans are getting the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I'm going to be a little bit harsher on the Titans than you are. I do think their window's closed a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Because of their defense specifically. Yeah,
they're still a top 5 team in the AFC, and if you say that, then I think Super Bowls...
I have them taking a step back. I do have them taking a step back.
Who did you have winning the division?
I had the Colts. I don't... Maybe...
Yeah, because
I could
Colts
be
were
wrong
11,
on that.
Titans at 10.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's splitting hairs at that. I'm trying to think...
I have the Titans winning 9 games. I don't have them at 10. I have them 9.
Damn, you do have a step back.
Yeah, they won 11 last year.
9-8 finish for the Titans, but that's adding a game too.
Yeah, that's adding a game. I gave them 9-8.
So, I see where you're coming from. It's a brutal schedule because I know, automatically off the top of my head, I know that they face the NFC West, and that's not fun. I don't know how that's going to shape up for the Titans, but man, I just don't. These weapons that they've acquired.
Yeah. So listen, I love their offense. I mean, but really, I mean, it's Julio Jones. They added Julio. That's the weapon. It's not weapons. It's one. They added one.
He is a monster.
He is a monster.
And what he is able to do.
And I think he completes an offense that was already really good.
Exactly.
I absolutely agree.
You can't put 8-9 men in the box now.
Yeah. No.
What is Derrick Henry going to do?
The offense is going to be great. That's 9 wins. I absolutely agree. I think this defense is going to be bad. I really do. I listen, and I love Caleb Farley. I think he's awesome, and I'm hopeful that he is as good as I've projected him to be. But the back injury, we don't know how that's going to go just yet. I look at this. Okay, I look at they were 7-2 in 1-score games last year. That usually regresses to the mean, and so they were plus 11 in the turnover margin. That usually regresses to the mean.
Yeah.
They so those stats right there.
Rush.
Yeah, so they did have no pass rush. That's an issue as well. They brought in Bud Dupree to fix that, but he was hurt in week 11, week 12, so he's not going to be back 100% week 1. That was a second half of the year kind of addition, right? So Titans fans, don't expect Bud Dupree to be awesome week 1. He'll be awesome week 6, week 7 probably.
Yeah, it will take some time. Yeah. But their front 7 as a whole, though, they have a good front 7.
It's not that good. They
got
19 sacks last year.
Rashawn Evans, Harold Landry. I think when it comes to the pass rush, they've always struggled because they don't have elite edge. That's why they brought in a Jadeveon. It missed, beyond missed.
Yeah,
I criticized John Robinson a lot for kind of betting on the health and injury aspect getting better drastically, because there's times where it's worked, there's times where it's blown up in his face. Jeffrey Simmons worked out to perfection.
Yeah.
You took a shot on the guy who was the top 5 pick, and he is playing like he's going to be a household name by the end of this season for sure.
Yeah.
But then Farley, who knows what's going to happen there? You did it with a Jadeveon. It did not work. It was probably one of the worst signings.
He's a gambler.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a gambler.
He is a gambler, and you get that high upside, but you sometimes swing and miss.
Listen, I'm not sitting here saying that the Titans are just going to fall off a fucking cliff. I'm not expecting 6 wins. I'm saying 9 wins.
I know.
And we're not far off. You're saying 10.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I'm not going that far different on you. I'm just trying to say that this
I'm trying to
offense
say,
can make up for where their defense lacks.
And what I'm trying to say is everyone needs to realize how bad this defense is going to be this year. That's why I think they got rid of a lot of pieces, and we've discussed it. It's been well brought up. Malcolm Butler, Kenny Vaccaro, Dory Jackson, those are the big names, but like there's also a lot of other pieces there that were lost. And listen, those aren't huge losses. Those were expensive players that were being overpaid.
Yeah, you can't afford to pay.
But they weren't replaced, I don't think, by guys that I'm believing in or that I really have a lot of faith in. Janoris, you mentioned Jenkins, and that's awesome. But yeah, there's a lot of losses on this list. We're going to go back to a graphic that we did right after free agency, and you look at the amount of players they lost, and it's ridiculous. It really is. Listen, I get it. I love their offense. You're absolutely right. There's no, how many ways can I say that I love Julio Jones, that I love their run game, I love their offensive line for the most part, and I love Ryan Tannehill. I think their offense is going to be great. But yeah, there's a lot of pieces missing there and on that defense, and it bugs me. It scares me. It really does. I don't know what to expect from this Tennessee team, and I do expect a small step back. I really do.
That's the reason.
And then on top of that, I look at last year. They did have a lot of one-score games that went their way. They did have a lot of lucky bounces. I'll say with fumbles and turnovers that went their way. Those are the kind of things that I look at, and I always kind of try and project, okay, this is probably going to tick back to the other direction. So if I can look at that and say, okay, I'm expecting a tick back in maybe the bad luck stats, okay, just a little bit, we're going to go back to the mean a little bit. And then I can also look at places where I think you lost in free agency that were not replaced, by guys that I believe in, that I know are going to be competent replacements. I mean, yeah, there's a chance. They could all prove me, not prove me wrong, but they could, perform above and beyond their title right now and be awesome. Yeah. And the Titans could, not miss a beat. But there's a real good chance that they don't, and that that they take a step back. The Titans are maybe even worse than we're expecting. That's all I'm saying. And
the craziest part is that we're only one win apart. But I feel like the story that our seasons tell going forward is so different.
I'm missing the playoffs.
No, Titans make the playoffs. I think the Titans are well equipped for a deep run. In saying that too, I think when you match them up,
they are. There's no doubt about that. Derrick Henry is a deep run.
He travels, and I think having Julio and AJ Brown. Listen, that's the only reason I equate it to the Chiefs is whenever it gets late November, December, whenever these playoff games are happening, I'm not worried about who the Chiefs' second cornerback is. Mm-hmm. I think it's Ward. They have L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, there's pieces on that team that are ass. There's pieces on a lot of these elite offensive teams that when you look at it, defensively, you don't have to have 11 guys that are just all-star, write home about names. Titans definitely don't have that. I think the Titans needed some pieces. Yes, they missed because I wanted them to address solely defensive edge rush. And before you know it, they blew up the secondary. So then they needed to address those two positions. And yeah, exactly. So it's hard, but whenever it gets to those moments in those games, Derrick Henry travels well. The offense travels well. Ryan Tannehill has been playing out of his mind, borderline top 10 quarterback. Adding Julio Jones, I think, is a phenomenal weapon in A.J. Brown. No, that does not equal Lombardi right away because you're right. This defense was bad last year, and if you were literally just checking boxes, did the defense get better? No. Was the defense good last year? No. So it's hard to say that. That's why I'm saying the offense is going to have to make up for the lack of defense.
I think that's your best argument is that the defense wasn't good last year and they still won 11 games. I think that truly
and that's where I think the offense is able to do that.
Okay,
I hope with Julio Jones they're able to do it again because they're going to have to.
Yeah. Listen, I get that. And listen, I was right there with everybody else with the hype when Julio first got signed. No, so sure. I see the work.
Like I said, we're arguing over 10-7, 9-8. I mean,
so we're not that far off. Exactly. You mentioned Ryan Tannehill. I put this is another graphic that I put together pre-COVID that I put on Twitter a while ago. I'm going to put it out here now as well. Since the switch to Tannehill in week 7 of the 2019 season, they've gone 18-8, which is 69%, which is the 6th best win rate in the NFL. They've averaged 22.7 first downs, which is the fifth most in the NFL. They've averaged 30.6 points per game, third best in the NFL.
Damn good offense.
And they've averaged 165 rushing yards per game, which is the second most in the NFL. Now,
who has them beat?
Huh?
The hell? That's a lot of rushing yards. Who the hell has Embiid at that? That is wild.
Might have that in my research.
You don't have to worry about it. But that is wild to think that 165 is second place.
Yeah, I don't have it in my research. I'm sorry. Yeah, that is crazy. I say all that to say Mike Vrabel was hired in 2018, right? So you can't just give it all to Mike Vrabel. Derrick Henry was drafted in 2016, so Derrick Henry didn't just magically start getting much better.
It took time.
In 2019, week 7 of 2019, he was good, but like Derrick Henry is not the only reason these stats exist. Arthur Smith was promoted to OC in 2019, so what happened those first 6 weeks? Yeah, it's Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is a big part of why this offense works. Yes, Derrick Henry's awesome, but Ryan Tannehill is incredibly efficient down the field. He is a very, very efficient downfield passer, and it's somewhat simple offense, but he is part of what makes it work. I'm not saying he's the only part, but he certainly makes it work. And I just think it's so interesting that there are still people that just absolutely shit on him because they remember him in Miami with Adam Gase, and that's just not fair.
No, Tannehill deserves his flowers.
Yeah.
Very much so. The biggest problem, though, is that, that's why I prefaced the whole Julio thing with it's still Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
That's the thing that hurts Tannehill, and it's not fair. That's not fair that just because you're not alone on a great offense that you don't get as much accolades as the other ones. Right? Tannehill is more than just a play-action quarterback, too. They put him in a lot of bad spots, and he has shown up time and time again. Pinpoint accuracy, his leadership, everything is what the Titans needed out of a Mariota that he never was.
Yeah.
And now you have it in Tannehill.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that it can result in a Lombardi. Not this year, though. I don't think so.
No, I don't see the Titans ever being as good as the Chiefs.
Are they bottom for you straight up out of, let's say, Cleveland, Baltimore, Buffalo,
I said them
Chiefs?
missing the playoffs. I don't see them missing the playoffs with seven AFC teams going to the playoffs. They're a top 7 team in the AFC.
but either way though, I don't want to talk about wild card. I'm talking about like the big dogs. I consider Cleveland one of those when it comes to this year and how
they're not in the top 3.
Cleveland, Buffalo, Baltimore, and the Chiefs.
Okay, they're not in the top 4.
Okay.
Yeah, give me 5. Who would be the 5th one?
Maybe Pittsburgh.
I could give. I could.
Some people
I don't
would
know.
say the Chargers, but I don't. I can't.
I need to see it first, but yeah, I could easily see the Chargers bumping ahead of the Titans. I could.
Other than that, that's where it's at.
Yeah, and then the Titans are probably in that 5th spot.
I mean Colts. But that just depends on where that's.
We'll see what happens with the Colts. Yeah, I think the 5th spot's up for grabs, and Titans could certainly take it, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to sit here and say that they are in the realm of those other 4 teams.
I put them there.
Really?
I think that they can line up. I mean, they always play good games against Baltimore
and the Chiefs.
And see, I would put the Chiefs, but the Chiefs that's them in their own regard too.
Yeah.
Buffalo, they play Buffalo very well. I think didn't they get their teeth kicked in though?
Yeah, they got their teeth kicked in by Buffalo.
It was bad.
Yeah,
it was bad. They beat Cleveland. It's kind of weird that we mention all those teams. They play those teams very regularly. It feels like, at least more recently. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. I think they did beat.
They played Cleveland.
They did beat Cleveland.
They opened up with Cleveland week 1.
That's right.
They beat them bad.
They did.
Titans hung 50 on them.
That's right. Yeah, it was the blow up where we thought Baker was done.
Yeah, was. It said less because that was our narrative that we went into week 1.
Yeah.
Is this about the Titans or is this more about the Browns? And
who's about the Titans?
Yeah, it was. We were wrong.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's honestly a really good conversation. It's very interesting. I don't have a final answer for you either because I think you could go either way with that. I think we disagree as far as where they line up in the pantheon, but I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say you're completely wrong or anything because I totally get where you're coming from. I
can't say the same. Like I said, we're all we have different versions of how we view the Titans, but at the end of the day, when you do wins and losses, we come out to almost the same.
Yeah. All right. Anywhere else you want to go with it? I think we nailed pretty much everything. Nothing really to say about their draft. We mentioned Caleb Farley, Dylan Radnez in the 2nd, Elijah Moden, I believe, in the 2nd or 3rd, wherever they got him. Or I think it must have been the 3rd. So yeah, that's their draft. Anywhere else you want to go?
No, it wasn't bad. I feel like did we piss off Titans fans? What do you think?
I mean, they'll let us know, I'm sure.
It's fine. Either way, guys. Just have realistic expectations. It's okay.
It'll be all right. Julio Jones is going to be awesome.
So, yeah.
He's going to score all the points.
Julio, and he's going to play corner.
he's gonna play corner.
Don't worry.
Julio's gonna play corner. It's
gonna be great.
He's gonna fix everything.
He does have
Derrick Henry's gonna play DN.
Julio Jones has more interceptions than Farley right now, NFL wise. Boom.
Hell yeah.
I said it. There you go.
All right, guys, that is it. We rounded up just under an hour 10. That was not bad at all for us. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please check back next week. I'm not exactly sure. I think our schedule is probably going to be messed up a little bit next week because I'll be on vacation. But it will be certainly be coming out at some point. We'll figure it out. We'll probably leave we can write messages on YouTube now.
Yeah,
now that we hit over 1,000.
We'll
So yeah, we'll let people know. It's gonna be awesome. All right, guys, that's all we got. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. Peace out.
7.